Hello, welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports and another edition of what is in our stand today, or workbench in this situation. So today I'd like to talk to you and go through the nomenclature of the Shimano GRX rear derailleur. And I'm doing a bike build right now, and I thought, what the heck, why not take you through what the components and parts are of a Shimano rear derailleur. So let's get going. I've already done a little bit of the unpackaging, that way it'd be a lot easier for me to get this out for you. So there it is. And what I'd like to show you is, just right off the bat, look how long this cage is. So rear derailleurs are measured when they say long cage, short cage, mid cage. They're talking about the center of this pulley to the center of this pulley. And that particular length changes based on the type of cage, if you will. So this is a really long cage. And it's nice because you're going to be putting some pretty large cassettes on your bike. So GRX, this is the new Shimano gravel specific series of componentry. This is the 810, which is the mechanical system. The 812 would be the Di2 system. And this is about Ultegra level. Now, let's take you through some of the nomenclature, because that is probably why you came. So the first thing I want to do is walk from the back side of the derailleur and then swing around this way. So this will be where you mount it. Let's start way here. This is a barrel adjuster. Now, a lot of this technology is coming from the mountain bike side, but what they've done here is put a barrel adjuster, which normally on mountain bike derailleurs you don't have a barrel adjuster. So that's your barrel adjuster. That's where this is the aluminum end, and that would go right inside there. Now it's quite sealed, or it's a sealed type of fitting, so it'll keep the dirt from penetrating and causing any friction in the line. So that'll go there, and then this will go towards the frame at some point. All right, so that's your barrel adjuster, and that is where you will adjust the cable tension. This is how it'll mount to the frame. This is also coming from the mountain bike side, but a lot of the road derailleurs have this now. And they used to be a hack that people used to use, where they used to buy a derailleur extender so that they could start riding these bigger cassettes, because the cage maybe on their derailleur was too short, so they would buy an extender and then hang that rear derailleur even further down to get more space for their pulley and their largest cog. Okay, as we keep going around the back here, what I want to show you is these are the limit screws. So a low limit screw, high limit screw, and what's important, or an easy way to remember it, is high limit for high speed, low limit for low speed. So your high speed limit screw you would adjust for your smallest cog on your cassette, and then the low limit or low speed would be your climbing cogs, your really big cogs on your cassette. And then this right here is what they call the B axle or B tension screw. Different folks call it different things, but that would be your B axle. And what this does is, as you tighten or loosen this, it does extend the derailleur and push it away from the frame, so that your cog can be a certain amount of distance away from your largest, so that this pulley can be a certain distance away from your largest cog. All right, This right here is what a lot of people call a clutch or a stabilizer. And you can see right here, on and off. And what this will do is it'll keep even more tension on your chain as you're riding along. Well, actually, let me put it this way, because that's the way you would be looking at the drive side of a bike. And as the tension, or I should say, as you're going over rough surfaces and the chain is bouncing back and forth, I'm simulating the chain, it'll hit your chainstay. Who knows, it might even come off of your front chain ring, or maybe your rear might not track as well on your cassette in the back. So that is a very nice feature to have when you're riding gravel, or you'll notice it's almost exclusively coming from the mountain bike side. So this came over, and that's really nice. Now, the next thing I want to show you is these pulleys here, the top pulley. So as you're looking at the rear derailleur hanging from the bike, this would be the top pulley, this would be the bottom pulley. And notice that they are two different sizes. So that's really interesting. And if you wanted to, you could see right here it says G pulley, so that is an easy way for you to remember. Guide pulley. It also has a direction arrow. So if you're ever changing your pulleys, please pay attention to the direction arrows, because the teeth profiles will correspond to a certain direction that you want your chain. And I've made the mistake of putting the guide pulley in the wrong direction, and the bike just doesn't shift as efficiently. But look at the size of this pulley, and look at the size of this pulley. So it is very specific, the way they design this, to have a nice larger pulley here. The last thing I want to show you is what exactly, oh, and by the way, that's where the cable anchor is going to be, right there. So what I wanted to show you is, and this spring is really hard to work with, but just so you could see, right here, this would be the limit screw, which you would adjust here. Now you should have a flat head or a flat-sided Allen wrench, either this one that comes from Park that is specific for these types of adjustments, or if you're part of a full-on kit, okay? Because these screws are really small and you don't want to strip this out. So if you're here, you put that guy in there, you want to have a nice, good, solid amount of the ball. I know that the ball is, I call it more the lazy man's tool. And what will happen is you could strip things out if you're using the 2mm. So you can see that this ball and that is a better tool to use for these kinds of adjustments. But what I wanted to show you is, what do limit screws do when you have your derailleur on the bike? Well, right there, when you take your adjustment, you turn that, and watch how this cage is going to start moving. So I'm going to leave it. Actually, let's see if I can hold it in one place. And watch how that cage will move. And now I'm going to take tension off. And see how that cage is moving? And that's what a limit screw does. Okay? There you go. Now there's two of them. So one's high and one is low. And the one I was just adjusting, this one right here, that's your high position, because that's where your derailleur's coiled up the most. And then this would be your low limit one, and that's really hard to show you, but let's see if I can do that. So that's where it's going to make contact. And it's hard to see, and I apologize for that, but there it is, making contact with this arm here. All right, so this spring is really strong, so it's kind of pinching my fingers in there. And you want a nice tight spring. And then your B tension adjustment, which is right there on the back side. When this is installed on the bike, you'll see a lot more movement. Let's see if I can spin this one a little bit more. But that adjustment there is to create enough space between your smallest or your guide pulley and your largest cog. Okay, well, you know, oftentimes I talk about rear derailleurs, I talk about the nomenclature, but they are installed on the bike, and it's hard to show you when I'm doing the service on the bike because it's already installed on the bike. But I thought I would spend a few minutes and just show you these kinds of things with the rear derailleur uninstalled, because I'm in the process of a bike build, and why not? So if you found this video informative and you think it was entertaining, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you up the road.